Most Americans planning retirement abroad have a short list, and that short list almost always has the same 5 countries on it: Mexico, Portugal, Panama, Colombia, the Philippines. The same destinations, the same videos, the same advice recycled across 100 different channels. But there's an entire category of retirement destination that almost never makes that short list. Not because it isn't compelling, not because the math doesn't work, but because nobody is talking about it seriously. English-speaking islands. Not the expensive ones, not St. Bart's, not the Cayman Islands. The ones where English is official, where a formal residency pathway actually exists, and where a $1,500 monthly income can still build a real retirement, not a budget survival situation, an actual life. Today we're covering 5 of them. Some have residency options most Americans have never heard of. One has a formal retirement program with a published income threshold that aligns almost exactly with a Social Security check. And every single one has a catch that matters. Because I'm not going to sell you a headline and leave out the part that could break the whole plan. 5 islands, 5 completely different versions of what retirement abroad can look like. Let's get into it. Number 5, Vanuatu. Let's start with the one that surprises people the most. Because when most Americans hear South Pacific Island, their brain immediately goes to luxury resort pricing. Overwater bungalows, $1,000 a night hotels, honeymoon budgets. And that assumption is exactly what keeps Vanuatu off most people's retirement radar entirely. Here's what residential Vanuatu actually looks like. English is one of the official languages, alongside Bislama and French, so you're not navigating a foreign bureaucracy in a foreign tongue. Port Vila, the main hub for foreign residents, has functioning supermarkets, restaurants, and the kind of infrastructure that makes daily life manageable. The pace is slower, the community is small, and for a certain kind of retiree, the one who came abroad specifically to escape the noise of American life, that combination is exactly what they were looking for. Local living costs, not resort costs, actual residential costs, can be considerably cheaper than the glossy travel photos suggest. A $1,500 a month lifestyle isn't guaranteed, but with careful housing choices and a willingness to live like a resident rather than a visitor, it's within reach for the right person. On the residency side, Vanuatu has a retiree visa option for applicants aged 50 and above. Self-funded residence options also exist. You'll need to meet current income and documentation requirements, and like anything in this part of the world, those details can shift. So verifying current rules before you book a flight is non-negotiable. Now, the catch. And I want to be straight with you here, because this is the kind of thing that sounds manageable on paper and genuinely isn't in practice. Healthcare in Vanuatu is limited compared to developed countries. Not just fewer specialists limited, we're talking about situations where serious medical treatment requires travel or medical evacuation entirely. If you're managing a chronic condition that requires regular specialist attention, Vanuatu is not your island. And beyond healthcare, Vanuatu sits in one of the most geologically active parts of the planet. Cyclones, earthquakes, volcanic activity. These aren't remote possibilities. They're features of life there that you need to genuinely account for in your planning. Infrastructure outside Port Vila drops off quickly. If you're picturing a quiet rural property on a smaller island, the trade-offs multiply fast. Bottom line, Vanuatu is genuinely attractive for the retiree who prioritizes island lifestyle, doesn't need major city infrastructure, and is in solid health. For everyone else, the healthcare reality is a deal breaker that no amount of beautiful scenery fixes. Number 4, Grenada. Here's the assumption that keeps Grenada off most retirement lists. Caribbean equals expensive. Full stop. People picture St. Bart's or the Cayman Islands, and they mentally file the entire region under "not for me." Grenada is not St. Bart's. This is a smaller, less commercialized island than most of the major Caribbean destinations that dominate the travel content you've seen. English is the official language, No translation required for daily life, for banking, for dealing with local authorities. And there's something else about Grenada that doesn't show up in the travel content. It has a genuinely unhurried quality to daily life that a lot of retirees actively seek out. No massive cruise ship terminals dominating the waterfront. No theme park atmosphere built around tourist dollars. Just a functioning island community where people actually live, work, and age. That's a different experience from most Caribbean destinations, and for the right retiree, it's worth a lot. Local markets exist and they matter, because shopping local versus shopping imported is one of the most important budget decisions you'll make on any Caribbean island. The Saturday market in St. George's alone can significantly change your weekly grocery bill if you're willing to cook the way locals cook. Housing varies significantly depending on where you land. If you're in a tourist-facing coastal area, costs climb fast. If you're in a residential community living the way locals live, the math looks different. On residency, this is where I want to be careful, because Grenada gets misrepresented constantly. There are residence options available to financially self-sufficient foreigners, and those are worth researching for your specific situation. What I won't do is present Grenada as having a simple, dedicated retirement visa with a clean income threshold, because the current rules don't straightforwardly support that framing. If you have substantial capital and you're seeing Grenada's citizenship by investment program come up in your research, that's a separate conversation entirely, and it's not a normal retirement solution for someone on a social security budget. The catch here is familiar Caribbean territory. Imported products, especially anything that feels American, carry a significant price premium. Healthcare for complex treatment is limited on the island. Transportation costs outside major areas can add up quietly, and hurricane exposure is real, not hypothetical, real. Bottom line, Grenada offers a genuinely beautiful English-speaking Caribbean life, but $1,500 a month here requires living like a resident, not a tourist, and being honest with yourself about what that actually means day to day. Number 3, Fiji. And now we need to have a serious conversation about Fiji, because Fiji might be the most misunderstood destination on this entire list when it comes to retirement costs. The mistake everyone makes: Fiji equals luxury resorts, honeymoon destination. Everything costs a fortune. Move on. Here's what residential Fiji actually is. Suva, the capital, and other populated centers have functioning residential communities with normal grocery stores, normal services, and normal day-to-day life that looks nothing like the resort brochures. English is an official language and it's widely used. You won't feel lost navigating daily life or official processes. Local food and locally produced goods can cost substantially less than the imported alternatives. And here's something that genuinely surprises people who visit Suva for the first time, expecting a sleepy backwater. It's a real city. Government buildings, universities, shopping centers, restaurants, a functioning hospital system. It doesn't look like what most Americans picture when they imagine a Pacific island. And for a retiree who wants island proximity without complete isolation from urban infrastructure, that distinction matters enormously. The Fiji that retirees actually live in is a very different place from the Fiji that honeymooners visit. The sooner you separate those two images in your mind, the more clearly you'll be able to evaluate whether this is actually the right destination for you. On residency, Fiji offers what's called a residence permit on assured income. There are age requirements, there are financial thresholds, medical documentation requirements, and supporting paperwork that needs to be in order. Social Security income can factor into qualifying, but I want to be honest that whether it's sufficient depends on your individual circumstances and the current requirements at the time you apply. Don't assume, verify. The catch, and Fiji has a significant one that I think gets underplayed: distance. Fiji is far from the United States, not long flight far. We're talking about a journey that makes casual trips home for family events genuinely difficult and expensive. If staying physically close to family is a priority, Fiji requires you to be honest with yourself about that trade-off before you fall in love with the lifestyle. Healthcare quality varies considerably by location. In Suva, options are more developed. Outside major centers, the picture changes. Cyclones and tropical weather are genuine considerations. And while English is official and widely used, Fijian and Hindi are also part of daily life, which enriches the cultural experience, but means English isn't quite as universal as it is in some other destinations on this list. Bottom line, Fiji is a strong option for someone who genuinely wants Pacific Island life, is comfortable with the distance from home, and has done honest research on healthcare options in their specific area of interest. Number 2, Belize. Now we're getting somewhere that feels immediately more accessible to most Americans. And I think I know exactly why. Most people think of Belize as a vacation destination, a diving trip, a week on the Keys. They've never thought of it as a place to actually live. And that gap between vacation Belize and residential Belize is where the real retirement opportunity hides. Let's start with what makes Belize genuinely different from everything else on this list. English is the official language, the only country in Central America where that's true. There are established American and Canadian expat communities already there, which means the infrastructure for foreign residents actually exists. You're not pioneering, you're joining something that's already been built. There are expat Facebook groups, local attorneys who've handled hundreds of American residency applications, doctors who understand what American patients expect, and communities where you can find your footing without feeling like you're starting from zero in an unfamiliar world. US dollars are widely accepted, and compared to the distances we've been talking about with Fiji and Vanuatu, Belize is close. A 2-hour flight from Houston, direct flights from Miami, Dallas, and other major hubs. You can get home for a family emergency without it becoming a multi-day ordeal that costs you $1,000 in last-minute airfare. That proximity to the United States is something you genuinely cannot put a price on until the moment you actually need it. Now, the formal retirement program. Belize has the qualified retirement program, and it matters because it's one of the more structured retirement pathways in this part of the world. Minimum age is 40. The current qualifying foreign retirement income requirement is $2,000 per month, or $24,000 annually. Social Security income can qualify toward that threshold. And here's where I need to stop and be very direct with you, because this is where people get confused and sometimes make expensive mistakes. The $2,000 monthly income requirement to qualify for the program is not the same thing as a $1,500 monthly living budget. Those are two different numbers. The first is what you need to show to qualify. The second is what you actually spend to live. Can you live on $1,500 a month in Belize? In some locations, with some lifestyle choices, yes. On the popular Keys, in the tourist-facing communities, that number gets eaten alive fast. Where you choose to live in Belize matters enormously to whether the budget math works. The catch? Healthcare outside major centers is limited. Imported products carry price premiums that add up. Hurricane exposure is real, and Belize has seen significant storms. And the QRP has an annual physical presence requirement. You can't qualify and then live somewhere else. You need to actually be there. Bottom line, Belize is one of the strongest choices for Americans who prioritize English, proximity to home, and a formal, established retirement pathway. It's not perfect, but it's one of the most practical options on this list for someone who wants to stay connected to the United States while genuinely living abroad. Number 1, Mauritius. And here's the one that raises the most eyebrows every single time I bring it up. Because when Americans hear island off the coast of Africa, the assumptions kick in immediately. Poor infrastructure, limited services, an environment that feels unfamiliar and difficult. Every single one of those assumptions is wrong about Mauritius. This is a developed island economy with modern infrastructure, a diverse population, and a functioning healthcare system that puts many Caribbean destinations to shame. English is central to government, administration, and business. The beaches are real. The tropical climate is real. And the modern urban areas, particularly around Port Louis and the Northwest Coast, offer a quality of daily life that genuinely surprises people when they first arrive. Now here's what makes Mauritius number 1 on this list: the Retirement Residence Permit. This is a formal, structured pathway specifically designed for retirees. The minimum age is 50. The current published income requirement is $1,500 per month, which aligns directly with the budget framework we've been working with throughout this video. Residence can be granted for 10 years, subject to the applicable requirements at the time of application. And longer-term residence options may become available after meeting qualifying conditions over time. That's not a workaround. That's not a gray area. That's a government-designed retirement pathway with a published income threshold that matches a Social Security budget, on an island with real infrastructure, in a country where English works. That combination is genuinely rare on a global scale. Healthcare. Public healthcare is available, and private options exist for additional coverage. As with any destination, major medical needs require research before you commit to a specific area. This isn't a country where you can ignore the healthcare question, but it's also not a country where the healthcare question automatically disqualifies it. The catch, and Mauritius has one that I think is genuinely underestimated: distance. The flight from the United States is not a short-haul inconvenience. We're talking about a journey that makes spontaneous trips home expensive and logistically complicated. If you have family situations that might require you to get back quickly and regularly, that distance is a real cost, not just an inconvenience. French is highly relevant in everyday Mauritian life. English gets you through official situations comfortably, but Creole and French dominate social life. Imported American products carry significant price premiums, and the cultural adjustment, moving from American daily life to Mauritian daily life, is more significant than some people account for in their planning. Bottom line, Mauritius is one of the most interesting retirement options available to Americans right now. Not because of beautiful beaches, though those are real. Because of the combination of a formal retirement pathway, functioning infrastructure, English in official life, and a published income threshold that actually aligns with a Social Security budget. That combination doesn't exist in many places. Now let's do the final comparison. Let's put all 5 side by side, honestly. Vanuatu is best for the retiree who prioritizes Pacific Island lifestyle above everything else, and is in genuinely strong health. The English and the retiree visa are real advantages. The healthcare situation and natural disaster risk are real limitations. Grenada is best for the retiree who wants Caribbean lifestyle in a less commercialized environment. English everywhere is a genuine advantage. Imported costs and limited healthcare for complex needs are the limitations that matter most. Fiji is best for someone who wants Pacific Island life with more developed urban options and is genuinely comfortable with significant distance from the United States. The English-speaking environment and established communities are strengths. The distance and variable healthcare are the honest trade-offs. Belize is best for Americans who want English, proximity to home, and a formal established retirement program. The QRP is a real structured pathway. The $1,500 living budget requires honest location choices and lifestyle expectations. Mauritius is best for the retiree who wants tropical island living with real infrastructure and a formal retirement residence pathway at the $1,500 income level. The distance from the United States is the most significant practical limitation. Here's the truth that cuts across every island on this list. $1,500 a month does not buy the same retirement on every island, not even close. Rent is one number, healthcare coverage is another, insurance is another, transportation is another. The cost of imported goods, especially if you're still attached to American brands and American food, is another. And residency requirements, processing times, annual presence rules, those are costs too, even when they don't show up on a budget spreadsheet. The cheapest island is not automatically the best retirement island. The right island is the one where the total picture, the lifestyle, the healthcare access, the distance from family, the residency pathway, and yes, the budget, actually lines up with who you are and what you need. That's the calculation that matters, not just the rent. 5 more islands. 5 completely different versions of what retirement abroad can look like. But if you missed part 1, you're only seeing half the picture. In that video, we covered 5 other English-speaking islands, including one where the cost of living can genuinely surprise you in the best possible way. Before you finalize your retirement shortlist, you need to see both lists together. Watch part 1 next. It's on your screen right now. I'll see you there.